Motocross, one of the most exciting and spectacular sports in the world, is probably also one of the toughest. Yamaha have been involved in motocross since 1972. Each year, Yamaha factory team riders compete at the highest level of motocross racing, the World Championship Grand Prix. In 1982, Yamaha's main goal was to retain their 250cc world crown, brilliantly won in 1981 by Neil Hudson. For the 1982 season, Neil moved to the 500cc class, and Yamaha chose American Danny Laporte to defend their 250 title. At the motocross circuit of Mil in Holland, scene of the Dutch 250cc motocross Grand Prix, the 8th round of the World Championship, Danny was in tremendous form as the championship entered the final phase. Despite determined opposition from his main rivals for the championship, Georges Jobet of Belgium, Kees van der Van of Holland, and Yamaha teammate Dave Watson from England, Danny convincingly won both heats. Before the championship started, nobody could have imagined that an American, in the first year as a Grand Prix rider, would be leading the World Championship with only 4 races from the end. Let's listen to Danny's reasons for coming to Europe.
When I was about 12 years old, I started racing motocross, and I always thought of racing in Europe because I'd read magazines and newspapers, and that was the ultimate to come to Europe and race. I never even really thought about racing so much in the United States. I'd almost always wanted to race in Europe.
One of the most motivated of world motocross stars, Danny did not take long to adapt his racing and lifestyle to European conditions.
I planned on coming to Europe about 4 months before the Grand Prix started because I wanted to be very organized. And it took me about 2 or 3 months to really adjust to Europe. Not the food or the traveling or the people or the different country, but just being so far away from home. It's easy to leave your country and come to another place, but the hard part is just finding friends. It was difficult for me to make a phone call and call up some friends and go do something. So I had to make new friends, and it didn't take so long. And then it only took about 3 or 4 weeks actually before I started finding friends, making phone calls. And once I started getting busy and training every week and running and testing my motorcycle, I was so busy anyway.
1 minuut en 55 seconden zijn er verreden. Daar moet Danny nog wat aankomen. Goed oversteken, dames en heren. Hou de baan helemaal bij dat. Peter van der Nieuwenhof. Peter op de mooie 10e plaats en laatste ronde. De finishvlag gaat gehanteerd worden door de lukkende man, de sportcommissaris. Daar is Danny de Vos.
This is the beautiful Boën circuit in West Germany, the 7th round of the 500cc World Championship. Oh dear, the awesome power of the 500s has broken the old starting system. Yamaha's #1 rider in the 500cc class, Sweden's Håkan Karlqvist, is seen here at his best, followed by teammate Neil Hudson. Carla won the first heat. Pre-season favourite for the championship, he lost any chance of being champion before the season started. He crashed in an international event, badly injuring his arm, causing him to miss several Grand Prix. Here in Boën, he was back in top form, winning the first moto, but a crash in the second moto caused by a rider he was lapping seriously injured one of his fingers. Denied the chance to be champion by injuries, Carla's double win at the Grand Prix in Luxembourg proved that he was still the man to beat in the 500 category. With Carla so often missing from the starting gate, it was left to 1981 250cc champion Neil Hudson to defend Yamaha's honour. He finished third in the championship in his first season as a 500cc rider, a highly credible performance. In sidecar motocross, riders and passengers wrestle 100 horsepower monsters round Europe's toughest motocross tracks. Yamaha hold a dominant position in sidecar motocross, with almost 100% of the riders using the XS650 twin engine as the power plant for their outfits. The potential for the development of this engine was quickly realized by sidecar competitors, and most engines are now brought up to almost 1000 cc, the category limit. By creating their XS twin engines, Yamaha have greatly contributed to the development of sidecar motocross racing. For 1982, Yamaha's main hopes for the championships were Dutchmen Ton van Houten and Fritz Kiggen, champions in 1981, West Germans Josef Brockhausen and Hubert Rebel, and the Swiss team of Emil Bollhalder and Karl Bisser. Here at the Dutch Grand Prix, disaster struck the defending champions Van Houten and Kiggen. Despite their brilliant start on the first moto, they were badly injured in a crash on the first lap. In spite of this handicap, the Dutch pair finished in third place in the championship, behind new champions Bollhalder, Bisser, and second place Brockhausen, Rebel. In 1983, Ton van Houten will use the Yamaha TR1 V-twin engine in his attempt to regain the world crown. With the TR1 V-twin, Yamaha will try again to set the pace in sidecar motocross. Back to the 250cc action. Here in Hyvinkää, Finland, the penultimate round of the championships, Danny Laporte, Georges Jobet and Kees van der Ven will go to the line separated by only a few points. It was Laporte leading Jobet and van der Ven.
I enjoy racing in Europe because the tracks in Europe are all so close compared to the United States. In Europe, I enjoy traveling and racing in Europe better than I do the United States because in the United States, the tracks are so far apart. And in Europe, you can race in 10 different countries in only 6 or 7 hours from where I live here in Belgium. It's really a central place. Everywhere you go in Europe, you have a different track. France has their own idea of what a motocross is supposed to be like. And Belgium, the tracks are different. In Holland, they're different. So everywhere you go, Italy, the tracks are completely different. They're really fast in Italy. They're fast basically and hard in France and Italy. And Belgium and Holland, they're soft. They're just different. Everybody has their own idea of a motocross track.
The order was reversed. Van der Ven, Jobet, Laporte.
My competitors in Europe really aren't so much different than the competitors in America. They all want to win. They're all in very good condition. But the difference that I learned in the racing in the United States and in Europe seem to be a little bit more consistent. They're not as aggressive, as fanatical like riders. They're just a little bit more technical, a little bit slower in some respects, but other ways are faster. So you just have to accustom yourself to riding with them because I don't think you can consistently come here to Europe and race as I did in America, race against Europeans. So I had to change my style a little bit according to the type of track.
Danny now had a 15-point lead over Jobet going into the final Grand Prix in Sweden. A comfortable position for the Yamaha man to be in his first season of Grand Prix racing. Vimmerby, Sweden, 29th of August, 1982. Danny Laporte's Day of Destiny. Danny did not have to win to be champion. All he had to do was ensure Jobet would not get too far away from him. fellow countryman Donny Hansen came over for this race and won both heats. In Heat 1, Danny conceded 4 points to Jourbet and 2 to Van der Ven, leaving himself an 11-point cushion over Jourbet for the final moto of the championship. Did not need the cushion. From the start of the last moto, he quickly moved into second place behind winner Hansen to win the championship. Jourbet crashed soon after the start, and even though he bravely fought his way to finish third, he had lost the final battle of the championship. Winning the World Championship at his first attempt, Danny Laporte has achieved a unique record. Not only had Danny to overcome established world stars on their own ground, but also Europe itself.
I hope that I could stay here for probably 4 more years. I'd like to race the 250cc World Championship class 1 or 2 more years, and then ride the 500cc World Championship class. The 500cc World Championship race is probably my ultimate goal in racing. It's always been known as the heavyweight class in motocross. Whether it is, I think it's difficult to win a championship in the 250cc class as well as it is in the 500. But the 500 has a title that's different than all the others.
Without doubt, Danny Laporte has made a tremendous impact on the European motocross. The partnership of Yamaha's motocross technology and Danny Laporte's riding has brought Yamaha 2 titles already. Danny also helped to win the prestigious manufacturer's title for Yamaha. For both Yamaha and Danny, 1982 was only one stage in the history of motocross. A very long history, which Yamaha, as the #1 manufacturer in motocross, is
motocross rider, the 500cc World Championship is the ultimate goal. To race in this select class is to compete against the best in the world. At the top level, the competition is hot. There are works teams from Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki and Kawasaki from Japan, and KTM and Husqvarna, together with newcomers Kajiva from Europe. Alongside the works riders, there are private entries from all over the world. But when the season started with the Swiss Grand Prix, everyone knew that only one rider would end the year entitled to be called World Champion. National races which precede the start of the World Championship season, Yamaha's Håkan Karlqvist of Sweden established himself as a strong contender for the title. He won no less than 10 races, and his fans were expecting great things of him. He's a strong rider, and the combination of his strength and aggressiveness, together with his improving form, showed his determination to make a good showing in the championship. Carla to his fans, doesn't let them or himself down. In the early races of the championship, he achieves results which get better and better. Austrian Grand Prix, Karlqvist's superb performance in both heats gives him the overall win. The drive and attack which he shows at the Sittendorf circuit earn him a great reception from the crowd. Håkan Karlqvist was born in Stockholm in 1954. His first choice of sport was ice hockey, and he was good enough to be chosen for the Swedish national team. But he switched to motocross when he was 20 and soon turned professional. The team which supports him when he travels to races is a small one, almost a family. With Carla, there's girlfriend Annalie and Tommy, his mechanic and old friend. In 1979, Karlqvist proved his abilities by winning the World 250cc Championship. In 1980, he signed a contract with Yamaha and moved up into the first rank of motocross racing, the 500 class, where he was soon achieving good results. United States Grand Prix was the 7th event in the 1983 championship, and when Håkan won, it was the first non-American victory in 4 years. Even more important, the win put Carla at the head of the championship table. The next race in France saw former world champion André Malherbe of Belgium back in the lead. As the championship entered its final stages, it became clear that the battle for the title would be between these two men. When he's preparing for a race, Carla finds that working on the machine helps to give him the calmness and concentration which are so vital for a successful racer. Carla plays an important part in the preparation of his Yamaha YZM 500 motocrosser and helped the factory engineers in the development of its new suspension system. The closeness between man and machine which this involvement achieves was a big factor in his victory in the 9th race of the championship, the British Grand Prix, where he was a decisive winner in both heats. It takes a special kind of talent to succeed in motocross, a combination of qualities which only a few men possess. Determination is one of those qualities, and no 500 rider will ever succeed without it. Lawrence Spence, a young Irish rider, certainly needs determination as he struggles to push his machine across the line with a locked rear wheel. The onlookers can encourage him, but if they touch the machine, it means disqualification. So he has to make it on his own.
Splendid job.
The final act of the 1983 World Championship is played out on the sandy track at St Antony's in Holland. Riding on sand is a special skill, and not surprisingly, it's local specialist Gerard Ron who takes the lead in the first heat. Right after the start, Karlqvist has a problem. In a collision with another rider, he damages his gear shift linkage, leaving the bike locked in second gear. It will need all his skill to get the crippled machine to the finish. Despite his disadvantage, the tough Swede hangs on, and at the end of more than 40 minutes racing, he finishes 6th, a tribute to the sympathy he has with his machine and the flexibility of the Yamaha engine. Now, everything depends on the outcome of the second heat, which will decide who will be crowned world champion. Talking about the race the day before, Carla had said that his tactics would be to ride as smoothly and quickly as possible, for he knew that Malherbe, his rival for the title, would be very fast. Now his first heat problem makes his performance in the second heat even more vital. Work during the interval has repaired the damaged shift mechanism on Carla's machine, and as the starting gate drops, thousands of spectators cheer on the riders. Carla doesn't hear them, however. His mind is concentrated on the task in front of him, reaching the checkered flag. Motocross heat runs for 40 minutes plus 2 laps of the circuit. Even though his YZM doesn't miss a beat, these are 40 of the longest minutes in Håkan Karlqvist's life. Every second that ticks away, every turn of the wheel, brings him closer to the biggest goal in motocross. As the cheers of the fans greet him, Håkan crosses the line to take the title. He's a worthy champion, and his record for the year shows the consistency of his effort and the reliability of his Yamaha. In the 12-race season, Carla finished every race. He won 8 of the 24 heats which made up the season and won 7 out of 12 races outright. Once again, the Vikings have left their homeland to do battle, and once again they'll be returning with the spoils of victory.
Thank you very much.